Hey everyone. Uh, yeah, so let me introduce myself. I'm Zaid Khan. I'm a graduate from IIT Jodhpur with a computer science degree and a specialization in AI. After that, I started to work at Codenation Innovation Labs. I worked there for around 1 year, and then I started to work in Lucidity.Clouds as a senior software engineer. Like it's been 1 year since like I'm working here. Currently, like I'm in Abu Dhabi. So if yeah, that's all about me. So let's get started about this workshop. So basically, what we'll be doing here in this workshop is let me tell you the agenda first. So like we will try to build a game using JavaScript. So for doing that, what we'll be using is a framework that is Kaboom. So basically, before we get into that, let's talk about a couple of things first. So like the basic things, the basic setup things that we will be requiring for this workshop session. Also, like I want you guys to keep coding with me as it will help you like in building all those things, and it will be beneficial for you. Like you can ask better doubts and all. So if possible, like install VS Code right away. And let me just share my screen and tell you the basic configuration or basic things that you will be requiring for this workshop. So I hope my screen is visible. Is my screen visible? Okay. Okay, so basically for this session, we will be using VS Code. In VS Code, like we will be using a couple of extensions as well. So I want you guys to install that. One is this live server. So for installing that, just go over here. There is an option for extensions and search live server. Once you search that, like you will be able to see a server over here. Other than that, you will be using just a VS Code. So just try to open our folder, create a folder in your desktop or wherever you want, and just go here and open folder. Just open that folder, whatever you want, and we will like get started. So basically, before we get started, let me tell you the configuration. So basically, what we will be doing is we will be going ahead with basic HTML, CSS thing, and we would not be going with the JavaScript and some installation part. We will try to avoid that as much as possible. So to be able to use that, we will be like we will just import things on that. So before we get started, let's just create a folder named assets, and basically there is a link over here. In this link, basically I have some assets. I will be like pasting this somewhere, and basically using this link, you guys will be able to download the images that we will be using in this session. So let's get back to it. So before we get started, let's create a simple HTML file. So I want to create this HTML file over here. Let's name it index.html. So basically this index.html is the extension of that file which lets your computer know, okay, which type of file it is and how I'm going to respond based on that extension file. So basically that is for that. I just created HTML file. Now as I'm using VS Code, it will be like a lot more easier for me to make boilerplate templates. Boilerplate templates is nothing but just a basic template, like basic structure that I get by doing some small task. So for that, all I have to do is type HTML, and I will be able to see this HTML colon 5. I will just select it, and I will be able to see the screen. So right now, what I have done so far is I just created a simple HTML file. So in this HTML file, I will be using this HTML file to render on my browser so that that game can be played by that browser. Okay. So like this is a thing. So there are a couple of information which we can see over here. One is like this meta. So this is like telling what kind of fonts that we are using, the character set font or whatever that is. Other than that, I'm just telling it should be the bare minimum compatibility is Internet Explorer Edge. After that, I'm telling, okay, use full viewport where you have a scale of one and these things. And then there is this thing title. Before let's see this what this title means. So let me open it in live server. When I will do that, it will like redirect me to this page where this local host like 127.0.0.1 colon 500 slash this will be shown. So this option will only get to you if you have installed that extension that I just mentioned earlier. Okay, so basically I did this and I can see that over here that, okay, this is the URL. And on that tab, I can see a document written over here. So what this document means? So this document is nothing but the title, which is like which I have written over here. So I will be making a game. So let me game it. My first game. Basically, once I will do that, I can see that the title changes to my first game. So let's talk about the basic things that we'll be using. So this whole session will go revolve around JavaScript only. Like HTML is just for like more like a placeholder where by which we will be injecting our JavaScript code. For injective, it's a really easy job. We don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about this HTML file as well. So let's do that first. Let's import our file, or we can write over here as well. So there are multiple ways of doing that. One is I can simply define a script tag over here, and I can just start typing over here, and I can just start writing over here. So whatever I will type over here, it will be visible on that screen. Basically, I said alert and I said hello, so it's showing hello. And what live server is doing over here is live server is helping me in reloading that whole thing. So basically, as soon as I save it, it automatically reloads that browser page and renders whatever changes I have done so far in HTML file or JavaScript. So basically, other than that, there is one more configuration I want you guys to apply. That is like go over file. There is a option called autosave. This autosave is basically responsible for like saving every time. You don't have to do a control S or go to this file and save everything. So you just have to create a file. Creating a file is also simple. There are these two options. One is for creating file. Second is for creating folder. Just create a file and name it index.html. Inside that index.html, create a simple HTML file, and then we'll get started. So basically, the thing is, I can write code over here as well. This is called internal JavaScript. Basically, this will be like this page specific JavaScript that I can write over here. But this is not advisable. The reason like everything comes inside that HTML, which people usually don't want. It makes like things more coupled. That HTML is linked with JavaScript, and every time you have to know what exactly is happening inside that page file, the JavaScript, you have to go inside that page and look all those things over there. So it's always advisable to have external JavaScript. So let me add some external JavaScript. To add that, all I have to do is inside the script tag, I will be adding the source of that JavaScript file. So let's say it's main.js. So I created a file. Right now I'm using a relative path. We'll talk about that, what exactly a relative path is. But first, before let's create a main.js file. So I created a file over here. This file is in the same folder where this index.html is. So for linking that JavaScript file in my browser, I can simply use main.js. Let's suppose this JavaScript file is not inside, not in the same folder as this index.html. In that case, all I have to just say, let's suppose this main.js is inside this JavaScript folder. In that case, basically, this file cannot be imported because it will search only in that subsequent directory of that index.html. To be able to search it in that, to be able to link it, I will have to give a relative path from this index.html. So if you look at this hierarchy, it's telling me, okay, there is a Flappy Bird folder. Inside this, there is an index.html file. Then there are a couple of folders, assets dump in JavaScript. In this JavaScript, there is this folder called main.js. So in order to import that, if you look at the relative path from this Flappy Bird, inside this Flappy Bird folder, there is a folder named JS. Inside that JS, there is a file. So to be able to import that, all I have to do is just write JS like this. And after that, I will be able to import it. To be able to check whether the import has happened successfully or not, just do a control and click on that file. If you are able to redirect to that file, that means like it has successfully linked. So this is like the way I will be linking things. Now, as I already told, like we will be only talking about majorly JavaScript. So we, we will be only talking about JavaScript. So let's suppose if I want to make some game, really like using only JavaScript. If I'm only using JavaScript, that's called vanilla JavaScript. So it's quite complicated. I have to look for hundred of things. I have to do everything on my own. But right now, as everything is progressing very fast, like technology is progressing very fast, what people started to do is they know that if there is a use case like this, and like there are XYZ, there are like hundred of use cases, they create a frameworks which is able to do all those like 100 tasks that were at hand. So basically, for a game, if I'm not using anything, I have to create a lot of things. Java, like canvas. Inside that canvas, I have to draw, and inside that draw, I have to like use HTML attribute to be able to do a lot of things. So it's like quite complex. But like people have like wrapped everything inside a framework, and they call it like there are multiple frameworks for making games. One of them is Kaboom. So in this session, like I will be using that Kaboom JS. And what I will be trying to do over here is that even if you are a noob, you will be able to understand, like you will be able to build a game. So we will go in that fashion only. So basically, we will look at the documentation and we will look at those things, what all things are there. Then we will like read about it, we will try it, and then try to build a game altogether. So basically, I believe you guys have a little knowledge about JavaScript. So let me tell you some basic concept that I will. So, let me tell you the basics first. The basic that I will be using in this JavaScript session. Okay. So how many of you like? I believe that you guys are comfortable with any one programming language. So it will be easier for you to like relate with JavaScript. So in JavaScript, like more or like everything is more like a function. So a class is a function. Like if you have if you know Java, you know that there exists something called class. If you know C++, you also know that there exists something called class. So in JavaScript, everything is more like a function. It's like more like a function. So everything is a function. Even if I have to make a class, I can define it using function only. So that is like one thing. So for example, let's suppose I want to do something. Let me open this. So basically, there are three ways to run JavaScript. One is I can write over here inside directly inside the script tag, and whatever I will write, I will be able to see it over. I will be able to run this. So basically, it will be run in the browser's engine only. So for example, I said hello there, okay, or I just wrote alert if any one of you remember. So basically, I wrote that alert, and I was able to see it over here. So basically, in over here, that alert was there. Other than that, if like I did a console statement over here, if I will refresh, I will be able to see that console statement over here is. Okay, so you guys can see that if I have like imported that, like I have defined the script tag and I can write that JavaScript code over here. So this console.log is nothing. It just prints everything, whatever is inside this method over here. So basically, like this is the first method that I can run JavaScript code. There are other methods where I have to install some utilities of Node, and by using Node, we can run those JavaScript files. So in that case, all I have to do is Node and that file name. Then that file, the JavaScript code will be able to run. But we are not going to that. We will be like trying to keep things as simple as possible. And the third thing that I can do is I can simply define a source, and inside the source I will like define a different file name, and inside that file name I will write whatever code is there, and it will be running the same way. So let me show you. Hello. So basically, when I will do that, I will be able to see the same thing which I just have seen a couple of minutes ago. Now get back to it. So basically, like this is the second way, and the third and the easiest way, where it does not require any HTML file or anything like that. All you have to do is open any browser tab, just do a right click, and you will be able to see over here inspect section. When you click on this inspect section, you will see over here there is a option called console in the top right. So I will just click on that top right, and I will be able to see over here that I have a nice console. Whatever I was doing earlier, I can do it over here as well, and I will be able to see output right over here. So basically, JavaScript here act as a imperative language. So basically, I run something, I get the output right away. So it's not like I have to write the whole code, then compile it, and then run it. So I can do this incrementally without worrying about that. So let's suppose if I will do that, I can see that all those things that I was able to do via that browser HTML file, I can easily do it over here as well. But the thing is that this cannot be, this is not saved. This is like I'm doing right now. When I have to do it again, I have to follow all those steps again. I don't have a copy of code and all those things. So basically, for experimentation, this is a really good thing. But if you are writing code for some business thing or anything like that, it's advisable to not use that. Just like use it for debugging and all. So this console.log statement is also meant for debugging. So basically, what debugging is, basically you want to check Okay, am I audible now? Am I audible and visible now? Both. Okay. So okay, no worries, no worries. So basically, let me recall a couple of things. So basically, I was doing this console.log statement, right? So in this console.log, so basically we use console.log, like you use sys out in JavaScript, right? System.out.println, or you use cout statements in C++, right? In the same. Okay, my screen is not shared. Just give me a second. Yep. Uh, yeah, is my screen visible to all of you? Is my screen visible to all of you, right? Okay, then let me get started. Okay, so basically what I was talking about is that I usually write code in C++ or Java or any other programming language, right? So when I'm writing in Java, I usually use system.out.println to print something, right? Similarly, when I'm writing in C++, I use cout or cout statements, right? And let's suppose if I'm using Python, I use print statements, right? So what it does is basically it prints the output on the console. So in the same fashion in JavaScript, if I want to print something, like I want to print something, all I have to do is just use the console.log statements, and I will be able to see those print statements over here, that string over here. So basically, earlier I simply wrote console.log over here, right? So basically, after adding that, I was able to see that it got printed, right? Similarly, like when I wrote console.log statement there, I was able to see it over here. The thing that we usually use this console.log statements basically in like when you start doing web development, you don't have to print anything. You only print those things which you really want for debugging or logging purpose, so that you know that your system is working perfectly fine. So this console.log statement is not advisable to be there in a production system, because it can leak some information related to the business and all. So basically what we usually do is basically we print these statements only at the time of development. Once the development is done, we stop using this in development. But if you are doing competitive programming or something like that, you want to print something, so in that case it's usable. So like I said, I use the word debug, right? The debug is like I'm running a code, right? And somehow like the output is not what I expect it to be. So basically, I know that okay, my code was calling like three methods consecutively, and now I want to see like which method fails. So one of the ways like people are like everyone is intelligent enough, they can like find out without like printing, without using the print statement. So they can just reiterate their code and they can like do it manually. But every time it's not impossible. So what people usually do is they use some print statements to print the state of each methods, like the starting state, ending state, and things like that. So those print statement at that time is more like a debug thing. So basically, I'm adding those statements for debug. Once I'm like done and my code is working as expected, I will just remove those statements. That should be done. So basically, the reason like I talked about this because we will be like using this debug term, and like I will be talking about why I had to write this. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's get back to it. So basically, for using this, we will be requiring a JavaScript framework, right? And one way, like to get the code or get the files, to be able to use some files, one way is that those files are present on your local system and you can import it. The way that I imported over here, that is one way. If that is not the case, I can also import files from over the internet, and for like I will be using that only here, because it's not a good thing if I will go and download every file on inside my computer and then use it. If that file can directly be imported on a browser, by the browser, I don't have to download this file and increase the size of this whole Flappy Bird by having that framework inside of it. So to be able to do that, all I like we will be like using some statements like this only. Like in the script tag, I define this source as a relative path to this file, right? Instead of this relative path, I can add a URL, and if the JavaScript code is on that URL, I will be able to use it. Similarly, for CSS also, you guys might have seen that we use import Bootstrap and things like that. And for importing Bootstrap, we never go and download the whole Bootstrap framework onto your local system, then import it like this way. What we usually do is we get a CDN URL and just copy paste that URL, and we are able to like use it. So in the same fashion, like I will be using Kaboom and all. So before we get started on that, let's go ahead and look at the documentation for Kaboom. So basically, Kaboom is a JavaScript framework. Basically, it is meant only for game development using browser. And the thing is that if you are like building a browser based full thing, so it's a lot more easier to build, and you don't require a really good computational power in your laptop. It's really a lightweight thing. So basically, Kaboom is a JavaScript framework. So what we will be doing is we will look at the documentation, we'll try to build something. So there are two ways. First, we discuss all those methods and then use it, or we use those methods and we will discuss about it. So I will be going ahead with the second approach for making this whole game. Okay. So what I will be building, let me show you guys what I will be building. I will be building this and will, you guys might have seen this game, right? So like this is called Flappy Bird, or you guys might have seen this dinosaur. Yes. You guys might have seen that you, when you don't have internet, you usually play this game. So what we will be doing is we will be building a game similar to this only. Okay. So yeah. So we will be following this approach where we will try to create something, then we will discuss what we have done so far, and like we will look what all other alternatives I have and all those things. Okay. So okay. So I believe like everyone is like everyone's created a simple boilerplate like this, and it's really easy if you are using HTML, that VS Code. Just type HTML and you will get three options. Just click HTML colon 5. And once you are able to do this, just create a script file and just import that file. So if you are keeping this main.js file in the same folder as index.html, just import it without this JS slash. Or if you are creating a folder, just create it, import it like this. So I want all of you guys, if possible, just try to like keep the like maintain the pace, like try to do whatever I'm doing over here on your own laptop, because it will help you in building for uh, subsequent games. Okay, so basically we got to see this right now. The thing is that I want to import this JavaScript, this library. Once I get ahead and look at this particular documentation, I'm seeing that for using that, all they are doing is calling this method, and doing something, right? But when I will just import this method, let me just add this. When I added this method, if you guys can see, I got an error that, okay, Kaboom is never defined. The reason is Kaboom is never defined is that it's not important. It's right now my laptop does not know that, okay, there exists something called Kaboom. So to be able to import that in a browser, we will be looking a CDN link or something. So there is a document in this documentation. There is a GitHub link over here. Just open this GitHub link. Once you open this GitHub link, in like in the bottom, there is a section called importing in the browser and all. Just go there and copy paste any script. So for example, I directly want to have something like this. So basically, in C++, you use hash include IOStream or something, right? In Java, you use in like slash include or something, right? Similarly, like in JavaScript, you use import statements and just type import kaboom and where to import from. So this kaboom is present in this particular distribution. And this particular link is a CDN link. So basically, if you click on this link and try to open it, you will be able to see all the JavaScript code. So it's same as like copy pasting the whole JavaScript code onto your file and then reusing it. So basically like this is the file that I will be using. So let me just copy paste this line. And as soon as I copy paste this line and define over here, what will happen is that that error will be gone. And as soon as I create a kaboom thing, what usually happens is that it tries to like take up they create a canvas. So this will be the canvas where I will be building my game, and everything is going to happen inside of this canvas only. Okay. So yeah, so like this will be my canvas, and I will be able to like play around with this. I can add players inside of it, and I can do a lot more things. But like this will be the area playing area, and by default, like if I have not defined anything inside of this as a parameter, what usually happens is it tries to take the whole space available. So it will try to take the whole whole screen area, so whole visible port. like visible screen. So if you look at this, when I will do a refresh, you can see that it's taking up the whole screen by default. So it's assumed that everything is I'm writing inside this uh, block only, like body only, if I have not defined. Let's suppose I want to embed it inside a component of an HTML. All I have to do is define some parameters. So let's just define some parameters right away. So for defining a parameters, all I have to do is pass it over like this, and inside of this, I will be like passing the parameters, and these parameters will be used by this Kaboom thing. So first thing is that I will be using a global. We'll talk about what this global is, and second thing is like full screen. For now, let's just do this. And right now, you guys can see that there is no change right over here. The reason being that there is no change because this is what comes by default. So by default, it assumes that if you use a kaboom, it's a global thing. Let me make it a false. So basically, if I will make it a false, what will happen? We will just talk about it in just 5 minutes. For now, let's go ahead with the default settings only. That Kaboom is global right now. Now Kaboom is global. There are you can see that I stopped getting that error. Now it's saying that I can use a load bean for the sprite. Now the question comes, what is a sprite, right? This is like one of the questions that you might be having in your mind. What is a sprite? So sprite is nothing but a resource or more like a asset or more like a image or something that I will be using as my either my characters or my obstacles or my background or anything. So basically, it's more like a image that I will be having in my game, and I can use it, right? So basically, by default, Kaboom gives one screen is not visible. Is it visible now? Is it visible now? Okay, I hope like it will be visible because I have zoomed in quite a bit. Okay, so basically, these are two basic parameters which by default it comes with, but I am still like making it global true and full screen true. We'll be talking about why I did that. Other than that, if I will look at this, basically the second step that it does is basically load bean. Load bean is more like a let's load some resources. I load some resources. I mean, like I want some players, I want some characters, I want some like some particular asset or some particular things. So basically, it's always advisable to have a separate folder to keep all those assets and things like that. For now, like I'm just having asset folders, and I have downloaded the images which are there in this particular drive. We'll be sharing this drive. Let me just share this drive. Give me a second. We'll share this drive in a second. Okay. I believe you guys are able to see my screen again. Okay, so I like this link will be shared in just a minute. So basically, we will be using that to you will be able to see that link in the description section of that column. So basically, there you will be able to see some assets that we'll be using in this project only. So basically, load bean. What this load bean does is let's talk about that. So basically, load bean imports basically a character or an image in my page. So it imports it. Now it's up to me how I'm going to use it. So basically, for example, I have imported over here. If this whole line was not there, that means I'm not using Kaboom and the screen will be like a normal screen, right? But when I called this, so basically what I did is I imported this. So I got this JavaScript code. And when I called this, I was able to see those changes coming from that file. Is my screen visible now? Anyone? Is it visible? It's visible right now? Yes. Yeah, it's shared. Now you can see it. Yeah, now it's visible. Okay. So it's already zoom. Okay, let me zoom it once more. So don't ask me to zoom again. Otherwise, I won't be able to use it will be hard for me to write. Okay. So basically, what I'm saying is that first thing is that this is the import statement. this import, when you do this import statement, now this file has all the JavaScript code which you want to import over here. Now it's up to you how you are going to use it, right? In the same fashion, for those resources, we have to like have this load thing. So there is like load sprite. So there are two ways, like load sprite or load bean. This this load bean is basically, this load bean imports a default with a default bean, a default image. Let's see what this default bean is. Okay, so it's not giving me any problem. That means I can, it's imported properly. Now let me just use this bean. To be able to use this bean, I have to have some component inside of my screen. Okay, so basically I have to have some character, or I have to have something inside my screen. Right now it's just the canvas. I have just created the canvas. To be able to add anything inside of it over here, all I have to do is call add. Okay. When I will use this add, I have to pass this inside a list, the parameters. So the first parameter that I will be passing is this bean. And let's make a position x comma y. We'll talk about what all these are. Just give me a second. And other than that, okay. If I will go back, I will be able to see this character bean, right? This bean is like in this canvas, I have defined what I did right now. I said, call this method add, and inside of this method add, I said that this add is a component containing this resource, and that resource name was bean. So basically, load bean is a resource whose name is bean. So basically, I'm using that. After that, I'm like defining the position where I want to place this whole thing. Then let's forget about this area. We will talk about this area in just a minute. So basically what I did is I use this call method add, and it's able to like add something in my screen, and I'm able to see it, right? Another thing is I have added this whole thing. This add was not defined earlier, right? There was no method which was like defined earlier as named as add, and still I'm able to use it. Why? So the reason is I'm able to use it because while defining this kaboom, I defined it as global. So what it does is basically it makes all the methods present inside this kaboom like public to like it's global. So for using this, I don't have to like go ahead and use kaboom dot something or something like that. So basically, let's suppose I make it false. As soon as I will make it false, what will happen is this ad will start to fail. It's telling me this, even this load bin start to fail, that load bin is not working. This ad is also not working. So all of it start to fail. If I want to use this load bin, all I have to do is first I have to variable, initialize this variable and call it by using this reference. So basically, see this. When I just k.loadBean, I can see that loadBean error is gone because it's able to get this method name as loadBean. Now, if I want this error to go away, I have to use something like this. Then this add is also gone, will also be gone. Okay. So basically, for now, that's why like I said that we will be using it as global only. Okay. So basically, if I will do that, you guys can see that I have a character, nice character over here, right? I have a character over here. Now the thing is that I have a character. I want to like, let's suppose I want to make it move. That's the first thing that I want to do in any game, right? I want either my character to move, or I want the whole background to move, or do something like that. And let's suppose I want to do when I press some button, right? When I press some button, I want that action to be there. So all I have to do is basically there is method called on key press, on key press. So basically you have to define which button you want to have that action on, and basically pass a callback function. So basically what I'm doing over here is in this method is coming from that kaboom only. And I'm saying that whenever someone press space, whenever someone press, as soon as this is pressed, it will be like taken as a single button click. Then what I will be doing is I will be calling this callback method when this button is pressed, and like it will be like keep on continuously checking this frame by frame. And as soon as this button is pressed, it will be taking this action, whatever is over here. So basically, if you look at this implementation of this on key press, it's more like a method which takes the first name of the key, basically keyboard key, I would say. So and the second parameter is a function which takes no argument. So basically, with ES6 convention, I can simply pass a arrow based method. Or if I don't want to do that, I have to define a function. Let's suppose uh, space callback, and I have to define it like this. And whatever I will be doing over here, let's suppose I just say console.log and abk. So basically, if I don't want to use this arrow function, I have to pass this method called space callback. So when I will do that, like it's automatically take this callback method and it will be able to call that whenever I will press a space. So basically, let's suppose see when I'm pressing space, you guys can see over here in the screen. Let me zoom it a bit. I'm going to zoom this. Is this section visible to you? Right section, this AA. So you guys can see that whenever I'm pressing a space bar, it's saying that AA count is increased. So it's like just minimize the print statements. So basically, whenever I click on this, you can see that the count is increasing. Okay. So basically, that means we got to see that okay, it's not necessary that we pass like a arrow function. We can also pass a simple method. Now, let me talk about why this method was defined this way and what this whole thing is called. So basically, passing a method inside of a different method is called like passing a callback. The reason we usually do this is basically we want that once like some x certain step of operations are performed, I want to perform the y operation, and I don't want to write every code inside a single thing. I want that okay, this is not my responsibility, so I should not be responsible for doing that. Instead of that, just give me a method or give me a class object or give me something like that. I will just get that class object and I will call it in accordance to me, like whenever I feel it's required. For example, let's suppose in this statement on key press, what's happening is that if some other button is pressed, let's suppose I don't want to execute whatever is inside this callback method, but as soon as the space is triggered, I want to execute this method which is being passed to me like this. So basically, all I have to do is quickly let me show you a callback method. Let's define a callback method right over here. So let's say, so this is a callback method. This will be responsible for printing hola hola. So right now what I'm doing is not related with the code that I will be writing. So basically this is just to get you a idea like what exactly a callback function is and all those things. So I wrote this method like this. Now let's suppose I wrote a different method function yy, and it takes a callback, and inside this first thing it does is console console.log, and it says okay. So and after this what it does is call back. It will just call back. It will be done. Okay. Now, when I will be passing this, I can pass it like this way. See what has happened. So the things that happened is that it executed what it wanted to execute. Then it called the method, which was like passed as just a method reference over here, and this method was called. So basically, let's suppose I want this method to be executed after two operations, or like after I am done with these two operations, or and I don't want every logic to be inside a single file. So what I do is I write this logic, I give this logic to the other method who knows when to execute this, and that person will only be responsible for executing this. Not he will not be knowing like how that whole thing is implemented. He will just be able to call that callback function. For example, this yy is a method which requires a method like it knows that first when once I am done with the yo-yo printing, I have to do whatever is there in that method which is being passed to me. So it only needs to know that it need not it will never know what whether that function was printing console, hula hula or something like that. It will just execute it. You are able to know it because you are the one you were executing. If you guys have doubts, something like that. So basically, this is like a concept of callback. So everything we do usually in JavaScript, what we usually want is that we pass things in callback, and that callback will be like called when the requirements are met. Okay, so basically, like I'm passing this arrow method is a callback method, and I'm saying that whenever someone presses on space, what you have to do. So what you have to do, you have to tell it. Okay. So right now I just added a console.log statement. I was able to see that okay, something was happening. Okay. Now let's suppose I say whenever this has happened, I want this position of this ad, like the position of this bean to move. Let's suppose I want that to happen. How am I going to do that? How am I going to make that happen? Right now, like this is created, but this is not being initialized inside of an object. So basically, right now it's there, but it has no name. How am I going to access it? The thing is, I cannot access it. To be able to access it, let's say that it's a player, and let me add this over here. Now, like I have defined it. Now, a player is there whose name is also player, like, and it has a symbol of bean, and the position right now is 100, 100. If I will look over here, it remains the same, right? Now, what I really want is that on key place space, what's going to happen is that this player dot position. So basically, if you look at this POS defines position. So position, like it's a 2D plane only. So there will be like X position and Y position, right? So basically the first is X position and the second is Y position. So let's suppose I want to say that whenever a space is pressed, I want the Y, like I want it to go up. For example, I want that, something like that to happen. All I have to do is I have to say player, and the second attribute which was there for this method, this is position, and I want this y to decrease by 10, let's suppose. If I will look at this, let me refresh. When I look at this, when I'm pressing a space, what's happening is that it's going 10 pixels up, then 10 pixels up, then 10 pixels up. Website, please provide the path. So right now, like I have not deployed it. If you want the path for Kaboom, just go and search Kaboom.js. The first link is will redirect you to over here. So basically, this is running on my local system. So if you guys are following what I have done so far, the first thing that I did is I installed, like I was having a VS Code. I installed an extension called Live Server. I went ahead on this index.html file. I created this file, did a right click, and open in Live Server. That's how I'm able to see this whole site. Now, for getting this canvas and all, what I did is first thing is I imported things from over here. Where I get this link is basically I went on this documentation, Kaboom documentation. There was a GitHub link over here, GitHub. I clicked on that. Inside this, I just scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. I got this browser CDN. It shows me that there are two ways I can import this. One is this, and another is this. I planned on using this, so I just copied this line, this particular line, and I pasted this particular line on my JS file. After that, I'm just following whatever is there in the documentation right now. I'm not doing anything else. Like so, this site is running on the local system, so I cannot share it so that you can use locally. If you have time, like we will try to like uh, make it public or something like that. Okay, so basically, I was able to see what I was able to create a player, and because I have like defined a name for it, I'm able to use it and call some things, right? Now, what I really want is right now, what I'm doing is as soon as a space is pressed, I'm saying that try to go up, try to go up, try to go up. And you guys can see that whenever I'm pressing a space, it's going up, going up, going up, going up, right? So basically, this is like one thing. Now, let's suppose I want this is like as soon as I press, it's just a single up, right? It's not that if I keep on like if I keep this button pressed, it will start going up and up and up. The reason is this is on key press. Now let's suppose I want that if I click on this space bar for a long time, it start moving in that direction. So basically, I don't have to click on it again and again and again. Just as like a single clip, if I keep it pressed, it will like show that behavior which I really expect. On for that, there is a method called on key down. In this on key down, let's suppose I am saying that I want to go down. Let's suppose. So all I have to do is I have to define a cursor button. So let's suppose this down is determining those. There are four buttons in my computer, right? These four buttons are on the right side usually. The people usually use for playing games and all. So I will just define this whenever someone press that down button, try to go down, right? So there is like I again want to do this, but in Am I audible now? Hey, am I audible now? Okay, so let me start back. Okay, so sorry that there was some internet connectivity issue at my end, so I got disconnected. Let me restart. Okay, so basically, yeah, so we were talking about that. Okay, there are two things. One thing is I got to say that when I click, it just take thing as a single action. If I want that to happen, I am using on key press. But if I want that, if I am pressing that button, keep on doing that same action again and again after every frames. Okay, on that case, I have to use on key down. So it's saying that that button is pressed. If that down button is pressed, this down button is nothing but there are four buttons in your computer, right? Like up, down, right, left, and right, right? So this down is that down. Yeah, I'm repeating that actually. On key press, I believe everyone heard, right? So basically, what I'm trying to do over here is, right now I have this, right? Let me go back. Okay, right now I have this. When I'm pressing space, it's trying to go up like 10 by 10 pixels. So every time I press a space, it's going up by 1 pixel. But at this particular time, even if I will keep pressing the space button, it's not continuously going up. It's just taking that as a single button. The reason being, right now, while defining, I said on key press. So it does not care about what's going to happen if I will keep that I will keep pressing that button. It just says, okay, if that button is pressed once, I will be applied. Rest, I don't care. There is a different method if I want that suppose if I keep on clicking on that button, I want that whole thing to go at some part of it, right? So at that for that particular thing, I have this on key down. So on key down, basically you have to define which key you want to apply this operation on, and like which key you want to monitor for this operation, and what's that operation that you want to do. So right now what I did is basically I defined this player. This player has some attributes called position. In this position there are X and Y's. So right now what I'm doing is if someone is pressing just pressing it, I will just decrease, like I will try to make the player go up. If someone is pressing down, and if it's keep if he or she keeps pressing it down, I want it to go down, 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 down. So if I want that to happen, I use this on key down. Let's see this in action. Let me do a refresh. So basically, when I'm clicking, even if I like keep this space button pressed, it's not going up continuously. But when I will lose this down, I can see that it's going up, down just by if I just keep clicking on that. And every for every frame, like what's happening is that it's like changing 10 frames, like 10 pixels in the other direction. So basically that method which I have written on key down, like this methods and the other method, they're methods which are executed on every frame. And in 1 second, there are like 60 frames. So in every second, like they are being executed 60 times. So basically in 1 second, if I like just press on this down button, I can see that it moves a lot more faster than the space and all. Okay, so basically there are two things. Cannot use one more thing. Okay, cannot use import statement outside of module. So basically, see this now. What I did is basically I created a script. Inside the script, I created a JavaScript script. I defined the source and type module, and inside that JavaScript file only I imported this whole thing, like import kaboom from this. Try doing this, and I believe like you will be able to do it. Yeah, basically, I will be sharing that GitHub link with you guys in this. Like it will be shared with you in the on the description section only, so you guys can get the code. But the thing is that we are going incrementally right now, so it's better if you like follow things here only. Don't just rely on the code and all, because anyway, like after this one also like you will get the code and the video, so you can use that as well. No worries. Okay, so basically there are two things that we talked about. First is I can add characters inside this canvas. For adding characters, what I did is simply use this add. Inside this as I have to pass things in array list. First thing that I need to pass is what kind of like how it's going to look. So what resource to load for that particular item. So I defined that, okay, load bean for me. It loaded bean. Now I defined what should be the position of that particular element that I'm going to add on that canvas. So I said 100 comma 100. So what's happening is that this is 100, this is 100. So like when I define position 100, this particular thing is added over here. Okay. Now, the other thing is that when I talked about like if I'm creating a game, the first thing that I really want to do is I want the player to move, right? I want the player to move. So basically, to move the player, like there are two options. What kind of behavior I want on key press? Like if I want that, even if I like keep pressing on that, if that button is pressed, I want to consider it once. I have on key press. If I want that, if I keep pressing on that button, the players like keep on doing the same action again and again. I don't have to like release that button and then click on it again. Then there is on key down. We checked both of it. So basically, there are multiple buttons. One is like if I want to use some keyboard character, I can simply pass it as this. So basically, if I don't want to use space, I want to use, let's suppose, W to go up. So I can use W over here. So whenever I click on this W, what will happen is that it will go up instead of space. So similarly, like if I want to use space, I can use space. If I want to use cursor, left, right, top, bottom button, I can simply use this. So basically, let me add other as well. So for now, like if I'm moving, I want that if I'm pressing that button, just keep going on that direction. So I will say up, and up I need to reduce this, and instead of down, it should be left. So this should be x coordinate, and x coordinate should be deducted. For right, all I have to do is make it x, increase it. So basically, if you look at this, what I can do is basically, sorry, all the buttons are okay. So basically, I can see that I can like move it like this by using my cursor only. So basically, these buttons, like I have defined, okay, when someone is pressing on the left cursor, move left. When someone is pressing on the right cursor, move right. When someone is pressing on the down cursor, move down and move up. So basically, so far we have like created a more like a character which can move on basically by the buttons that we have, the buttons that we are pressing. Okay, so basically this is like one thing that we have seen so far. So what we have seen is this. So first thing is we were able to load a resource. That resource for now, like this resource is like a image which is already imported in that Kaboom library. So I don't have to worry. I can simply use load bean. Let's suppose instead of this load bean, I want because I told you guys right that we will be building basically Flappy Bird game, right? So I will be needing a Flappy Bird. So there are two options. One is that go on that drive and download all these images, or you can simply go on Google and like what kind of avatar you want. Just try to download a vector or transparent image for that. So basically, let's suppose I want Flappy Bird. You just go on Flappy Bird, go on Google, and try to search which image suits you better. So if you feel this is better, you can pick this up. If you feel like this is better, you can pick this up. And like adjust accordingly. Okay. So basically, right now, what I have done so far is I'm using a default bean, which is like provided to me by Kaboom. Now is the time for me to use a different image, right? So to be able to use it, as I already told, things are defined. Things like first I have to import things, then I will be able to use it, right? So even if I write some other name over here, I won't be able to use it. The first thing that I should do is I have to like import that, right? So import that. So for importing that, I will have to import a sprite. And the first thing is the name of that sprite. The second thing is the source of that sprite. Okay. So basically, sprite is nothing but a like load bean. When I said this bean is nothing but a sprite. Sprite is nothing but a object or more like a image or more like a character or more like an individual object inside of my game like which can be used in my game. So basically, it's more object, like a object, and like whatever the source of that object, it will look like that. And whatever name I want to define, I can define the name for it. Let's suppose I want to define as bird, and because I want to use this bird to play this game. So let's suppose in this bird, I have to pass the path. So how I will do that? There are two ways, right? First is absolute path, which I'm not talking about. So second is relative path. Can anyone want to tell me like how am I going to use this bird file? If that bird file from this JavaScript file is like this file is present in assets. Let's do that. So first thing is that let's so and I will just pass. Okay, it's not giving me any error. That means like it's able to import this file. Okay, now let's suppose instead of this sprite, I want to use this bird. How can you use it? I just simply change it with bird, and I can see over here a bird. Right now, this bird is just too big, right? It's not fitting inside my whole screen. So what I can do is there is a parameter called scale, and I will say like scale it to 0.1. So whatever your size is, just make it zero point 0.1 or 0.05. Okay, so basically I got this nice player. Now, another thing that I really want is that I want background. Right now, the background is looking really bad. So if you want, you can just go and download Flappy Bird background. So it's totally up to you. You can download from Google as well, whichever background suits you better. Or I have like these backgrounds on that Google Drive image. This is like bg.webpack. I will be using that. So first thing that we will do is we will be like, okay, so first thing that we will be doing is we will like loads this resource, and I will say that this is nothing but a background. So I can say name is like bg, and again path is assets, and comma what's the name of this bg.webp. So now I have this. Now the thing is that I want some like priority, right? What should be visible if this whole thing is on top of it? Like which thing to keep on top and which thing to keep on the bottom. If I want to know about these things, I have to define it in such a way. So basically, whatever is defined at a later stage, it will assume that it has more priority and it will be like visible on top of it. For example, let's suppose let's just add a let's just add a play background first, then we will look at this player and we will talk about what I'm trying to say over here. Just give me a second. Okay, so basically I have imported this bg. Now I can have this background where I will be adding. For add, I need to call this method with array list. Inside this, I need to pass the sprite, and inside the sprite I have to define what's the name of this. And other than that, if there are other parameters, I have to pass it over here. Right now, what I really want is that I want this particular background character not to just take position 30, 40 or some specific area. I want it to fill the whole screen. How am I going to do that? Is I need to pass a basically object, a JSON object over here. And in the JSON object, there is a field called height, where I will be using full height, and width, where I will be using the whole width. Okay, so if I will do that, you guys can see that, okay, it tries like I have added a component. This component's height is nothing but the height of the whole page. So this height is coming from Kaboom. So basically this it's taking the whole, like if I want to use the whole height of the page, all I have to use is this call this Kaboom method height, and same goes for width. So I have defined that this particular sprite, whatever the size, I don't care. I want it to span over all the width and all the height. So once I did that, you guys can see that right now I have a really nice background right up, right? Okay, so basically this is like the first thing that this is right now, like I have added a background. So basically, let me close it. So basically, if you look at it, it's taking the whole screen and it's looking really nice, right? Now let's try to add that bird. Now I want this particular bird to be on top of this background, right? On top of this background. So all I have to do is I have to define that player just right, like after this, after I have like defined and like drawn this whole background. So for that to happen, let's suppose I have this player, and if I define this player just before this bg, so what will happen in that case is that that particular bird is still not visible. The reason being that this background is coming on top of it, so it's making that bird invisible. If I want to like make it visible, I have to play around with z-index, which is like which I'm not using right now. So basically, if I want that it should be visible and it should be on top of the background should come first. Then all I have to do is just create that new component or create that new like object right after the object on like where you want to have more priority. Okay, what is error? So we'll talk about it. Just give me a second. Okay, so basically I have created a basically a bird. Right now I have added a bird. I have added some like playable things as well, right? That I can move around my character here and there and all. So let's look around this. So basically I have created this, and basically there is a background and I can move my player based on the method that I have written. So basically, okay. we'll talk about what is an error. Just give me 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. So basically, yeah. So I'm able to see over here that okay, things are like I have a nice background and I'm able to move my Flappy Bird. But the thing is that this is not how the Flappy Birds move in real life. We will like try to make it happen. First, let's look how a Flappy Bird whole game looks like. So basically, if you look at it, it looks something like this, right? So like there are some pillars, and in pillars there is some separate spaces and things like that. Now I have seen these buttons and all, right? Let me just get rid of this for now. And so basically, what I really want right now, like it's more like it's written like it's everything is just pasted, and I'm like moving it over here and there, right? Let's think. Right now, we want gravity to be there. Let's suppose I want gravity in my game. I want this bird to go down. If it's not going up, it's not able to like flap his wing, then it should go down. If I want something like that, how am I going to do that? If like that is the thing that I really want is I want to add gravity. It's really simple. All you have to do is define two things. First thing is this area, and second thing is body. So as soon as you define this body, what's going to happen is that it will assume that it has a body, and if this particular thing is a body, it will like gravity will be applicable on it, and it will start to go down like 10 pixels, with an acceleration of 10 and all. So basically, you will be able to see it over here. Uh, here. So basically, as soon as I refresh, because of gravity, it's going down. Now, let's suppose I want to. Now I want as soon as someone press space, I want it to go up, and I won't allow like people to do a continuous space. Like if they want to like jump again and again, they have to press twice. This usually happens in with Flappy Bird. So for that to happen, I will be writing everything inside this space thing, and let's now let's discover a different method. So there is a different method called player.jump. We will see what this jump is. On this space. Okay, let me check first. So basically, let me add another configuration over here. So I said that, right? We will be like right now we are in a development phase. So if we are in a development phase, what we really want is we want to see things in action, and we want to see some statement present over there so that we can know what's the state is right at this moment. Okay. So basically, for that to happen, what I'm doing over here is I defined a debug over here. Now I want to see, for example, what's happening right now is that I have defined a phase, and it should work actually, but it's working over here, right? So I'm able to like see that okay, when I press a space, it's going up, and because of gravity, it's going down. Let's suppose somehow this is not working. Let's suppose I messed up something, and because of that, it's not working. I forgot to call it or something like that. In that case, I know that with space it should go up, but it's not going. In that statement, I want to like do a more like a debug thing. I want to print something only when it's in a development phase. As soon as it goes in the production state, I don't want to see any of it. So in that case, I can use this same debug.log, and I say that jump is pressed, space is pressed, sorry. When I will look at over here, when I click on this, you guys can see that over here that, okay, space is pressed, space is pressed, space is pressed, and things like that. Okay, so on the top bottom, you can see where is the body function. Which body function? Uh, will Where is which body you are talking about? So basically, I can see that okay, space is pressed is like telling me the time from when it started, and like it's telling 26 seconds back, 28 seconds back. This space is pressed and all. Okay, so basically, I can use this. Okay, so I can use this to basically to be able to debug. Now I got to know that okay, this method is being called, but something is happening wrong inside of this method, like in this callback only. So all I have to do is I will look at that and I will fix it. Once I will fix it, I will be able to use this basically this space. When I'm clicking this space, this guy is jumping, right? This is what I really want. So let me just quickly do a quick recap what we have seen so far. That we got to see that okay, if we want to add up some character onto it, we have to have some sprite or a resource. Then is whatever that resource is, all I need is I need this add utility. Inside this add utility, I will tell what resource to load for this particular component or for this particular object. Okay, so I will define, okay, right now I want a bird. So I said that, okay, I loaded a sprite named bird first. So I named it as bird. And I said that, okay, use this. Then what I did is I wanted to use it over here. So I just defined that name over here. So this is done. Now I want that particular component to be present on this as soon as the game start. So I just defined a position over here and I said that, okay, 100, 100. Then it was too big. So I defined some scale over here. So it was like too big to be on the screen. It was taking the whole screen. So I just defined a smaller value and I'm able to see it over here that this birds became smaller actually. Okay. Then there was a couple of things like area and body. So body is nothing but a like body requires area actually. Area is just making that okay, I exist. It's more like this. So I have some area that I'm occupying right now. Like I don't have like if someone will touch me, like it will like I will pass through it. But right now, like I have defined that I have an area. If I have an area, then and only then I can have a body. So it's more like a physics thing. That first thing is that it should exist. So it should have some area. It should take some space, right? So I defined should you should take some space. Then I said that you should have a body. As soon as I defined a body, it added some weight onto it, and because of this weight and gravity was already there, it started to go down. Let's suppose I want to make make it more like a solid thing. So all I have to do is inside this I have to pass this solid as well. So after this whole thing will become solid and all. We will talk about this solid in just a minute. So for now, we have seen this. So if we want to add a gravity, we have to add this area and we have to add the body. By adding body, what we are doing is we are defining the body for that item. As soon as a body is there, it will be like it will add gravity. Okay, so basically let's look at back at the code. So what we did so far is we imported Kaboom, and for importing Kaboom, it was a really easy step that we copied from this GitHub repository, this particular import Kaboom line. We copied it over here. Then after copying it, we defined a object name. It's not necessary because we have defined it as a global thing. So we have defined it as global. That means all the methods present inside this Kaboom is globally accessible. I don't have this Kaboom object to be call those things. So it's like it's presenting that this only. So basically, I have defined this global S2 and full screen S2 as well. Now the third thing that I defined is debug S2 because I want to do some print statements so that I can debug in between and I can get to know if something went wrong. Okay. After that, I got to see that the first thing that we have to do is we have to have resources so that we can use it, right? So for using resources, I have to use this load utility. So by default, there is a resource that exists with Kaboom is bean. Bean is that smiley faced guy. If I want to just import this, I can use this bean. So right now it's been imported. If I want to use it, I have to use it like I have to create a first should be up. Okay. So basically okay, so basically now I have to add players or I have to add components or objects. In that object, I have to define like what's that component should be, how it should look. So basically, like, I have some resource. I want it to look like that. So all I have to do is inside this sprite, I have to define the name which I defined right over here. So for example, I wanted to have a component named as background, which should come at the like for the whole, which should come with the whole background. All I did is I created a background. I said that okay, you should import this BG. Inside this BG, I said okay, you have to take the full height. So in this case, all I have to do is I have to pass another JSON object. Inside this JSON object, I have to define some properties. By default, like it takes the same height and width of that background image. But right now, what I wanted is I wanted this whole background to take the full width of my browser window. I don't want if the image is just 40 cross 40 pixels, so it should get this 40 cross 40 pixels. I want it to stretch and do whatever it can to be able to fix on that image. So once I did this, I can see this nice background over here. Now I wanted to add a player. For adding a player, adding player is nothing but adding a, it's more like adding a component. For adding a component, I wanted that player should be a bird. So I loaded that resource bird. In that bird resource, what I did is basically I did define this bird resource. I added a position for that, and basically it was too big to come onto the screen, so I scaled it down so that it becomes a really smaller thing. Okay. After that, I got to see that if I want to apply gravity, all I have to do is use area and body. Area is defining that okay, I am spanning this whole area, and body is defining So basically, if area is not defined, it's like a point object. Point object with zero body mass and all things. But if I wanted to have the area as well to the same amount as like the pixels, I have to do something like that. Okay, so basically then I have a player, I have things like that. Now what I really wanted is I wanted it to move. So basically I wanted it to move, right? Right now it was not moving, so I wanted it to move. So we discussed about a couple of things. One thing is on key press and on key down. On key press is that it doesn't matter whether I'm pressing that button continuously, it will be considered a single click. But if I want it to be considered multiple clicks, I have to use on key down. We talked about those things. The first parameter for this whole thing is was the button that I want to activate this whole callback. So space is the like trigger point for this. So when a space is triggered, what will happen is that it will try to make the player jump. So like jump means anyway, like I'm trying to move up. I'm trying to go against the gravity. Okay, so player dot jump. Now let's suppose it's a default thing. It's around 200 300 pixel. Let's suppose I want it to a little lesser or I want it to be a little more. I can define over here as well. So this jump now will move just 100 pixels. Okay, so basically this is really less. Let me make it 500. So you guys can see, right? So it's moving 500 pixels right now. Okay. So basically, I was able to use jump only because there is a gravity and I was trying to go against that gravity. So I defined this jump method and I said move 500 pixels whenever someone is calling you. So I defined it this way and now it's moving like 500 pixels. This jump is only working when it has a body because there needs to be a gravity to jump against for. So that is like this jump method is doing. Now we have seen like we have a player. Let's get rid of these two things. We will again get back to it. Just wait for some time. Okay, now I have a Flappy Bird and I can move it like this earlier also. Okay, now what I really want to do is like this. These are the two things that I have created. What are the rest components that are remaining? If I look at this image, I need some pipes, right? Need some pipes to be there, and there should be some empty space in between, and I want to play around in that only, right? So let's get ahead and like try to do that. Okay, so now I want to add some pipes, right? Let's try to add just one pipe first, then we will like try to think how I can add multiple pipes and all. So first thing is that it's a object that I'm going to add, right? So this will be my first pipe that I'm going to add. So let's name it pipe one. And it's a component that I'm going to add. So again, it will be needing a resource image or something like that. For that to happen, I will have to need a sprite, right? Right now, I just defined this pipe, but this pipe does not exist. So you can see that I'm getting this error over here. Error is nothing but if something is not working, I will get to know like something is not working or that error, like that particular thing. What is that thing which is not working? So basically, if I forgot to import, someone is going to tell me that you forgot to import, right? And how he's going to tell me that you forgot to import, and because you forgot to import, your code cannot run. So that is the error. By looking at the error, I got to know, okay, yeah, my code is not working. Or even if my code is there are like two types of like problems. One is like it's not working as expected, or it's not even working. So if it's not even working thing is like can be obtained by using this error statements and all. So basically I got this error. Okay, it's saying that sprite not found. This pipe is not found. So to be able to get this pipe, all I have to do is I have to import this pipe. So let me make it pipe and name pipe two. Okay, right now it will be able to find it. It's not still not able to find dot sprite pipe and I said okay pipe two dot png. The name was like this only. Okay, so right now this whole thing is a really big thing. So I need to like scale it up and scale it down so that it looks a little better. Now let's just define a position first. First define a scale thing. So basically, the scale is having like a couple of different implementations. One is like if I just pass single variable, it will try to scale in x and y both. If I want to like scale some different thing in x and different thing in y, it can be easily done. Like let me show you. Let me do this. If I did this, I can see that over here that it's coming over here. Let me make it a position, and I want to have it width should be total width minus some 600, and height should be HEIGHT by 2. So when I did this, H- okay, so I can see it over here, right? That this particular thing is coming over here. Let's scale it down a little more. Before we scale it down, I want it to top left origin, and it should be top left, top left. Identify. Okay, I forgot to add a comma actually. Okay, so I can see it over here that this whole thing is coming. Let me make it a little bit more better. And I will say let's make it 0.5. Okay, so I can see it over here that okay, this is the object that exists right now. Right now, like this object is not having any area, not having any body or anything like that. So the thing is, I can like pass it from it, right? And the thing is that this pipe is defined after the Flappy Bird. That's the reason that whenever I'm like passing from it, just the pipe is visible, not the Flappy Bird is visible. Let me increase thickness a little bit. Let's just become too thin. Okay. And instead of 100, let me get 200 for now. So, okay, so basically I can see one tunnel is created. Now I want another tunnel, right? And that another tunnel should come. Okay, so let's talk about what we have done so far. Okay, so basically I added a pipe. Okay, I wanted it to scale because that image was not fitting in my screen. It was not looking so good. So I wanted to scale in both the direction. Usually earlier, like for the bird and all, I was just doing the change in both the direction, and the same amount of change I was doing in both the direction. But for this particular pipe, I want to shrink it in horizontal direction and like keep the things same in the vertical direction. To do that, I use the scale with two arguments and define the x scaling criteria and the y scaling criteria. After that, I use this position, and there is another thing with origin which is like introduced right now. So what it says is basically right now, if you look at this, I'm passing a position which is an absolute pixel position, right? And right now what is like right now if it's a point object, then it's okay, that point object can be there. But if it's not a point object, what usually happens is that it tries to pick the center of that object and put on that position. Or if I want that, I want position, if I set the position of this particular dot, if you guys can see. So if I want to fix this position, I want, like I want to do fixing based on this position or in this position or from the bottom position or something like that, I can easily do that by using this origin. So as soon as I define origin, that particular point for which the whole positioning is defined fixed on that. So if I say top left, it will be like, it will take this. If I say top right, it will take this. If I say bottom left, it will take this, and bottom right for this. So basically, this is like one thing which we have seen so far, right? Now I added one pipe. Now I added another pipe which will be like coming on top of it, right? So let's add that. Again, I will be using the same pipe. Now the thing is that both pipes will look the same way. It wouldn't look good, right? So what I really want to do is I want to flip this. So for flipping this slide, all I have to do is again pass the JSON object inside of this, define flip y and make it go. Once I do that, I will be able to see there was some syntax. Okay, I forgot this. Okay, so once I did this, like it overlapped with this. Basically, when I flipped this, this is becoming bottom right and it's matching with this. But right now, I don't want that to happen. I want it to be bottom left. When I will do that, you guys will be able to see that, okay, this whole position is defined on this bottom left. And for the bottom one, it's defined over here, like the bottom, sorry, top left. Okay. These are the two things that we seen. Okay, right now like it's overlapping. My bird cannot pass through it, right? So let's just increase some distance. So let's say let's give it some space. Okay, so basically I have added up space of 200 pixel. Inside this 200 pixel, my bird has to go and like cross it. Basically, my bird needs to go from here only. Okay, so basically, I got these two things, right? Now, what I really want is I want these two to move. Let's suppose I want these two to move. There are multiple ways I can do that. So let's say I want them to move towards my bird. If that is the case, all I have to do is there's a parameter called move, like method called move, sorry, method. So in this, I need to define the direction. Let's suppose I want to move left, and what should be the velocity? Let's suppose I'm saying 20. So let me copy this over here as well. So you guys can see that all these two things started to come towards my left and with a constant speed of 10 pixels, right? Now what I really want is that I want as soon as I collide with this, as soon as I touch this, I should like disappear and the game should go over, right? And like my bird should destroy or something like that. Let's make that happen. Okay, so basically player on collides actually. There is a method called collides, and all I have to do is collides with which. So basically, let's suppose if I just want to say that okay, collide with whom. So basically, earlier if you might have seen this that we were defining variable names like this, right? Similarly, like if we want some particular property to be applied across multiple things, we have a concept of tags. So let's suppose I will be using a tag only. So basically what I will doing is I will say that okay, you have a tag pipe, you have a tag pipe. Now what I really want is that sorry, I have added this tag. For adding a tag, all you have to do is pass a string, and that name of like whatever inside of that string will become the name of the tag. Just give me 5 minutes. Like we'll get back to you guys and like look at the questions and we'll think about what to do and what not to do. Okay. Okay, so first thing is collides player collides with whom? Like what should be that thing that should those elements from which I need to take action if I collide with them. So that is the pipe. This is nothing but the tag name. When I define this, I need to again pass a callback function. If I collided, what I have to do? If like this is what the case is, I have to say that destroy myself. Let's let me check in the documentation. There was a method called okay, it's on collide actually. There is to find. Give me a second. There was a method on collide actually. Let me check. On collide. Okay, this cannot be collided. The reason being like it does not have any area. Okay, so basically the reason like we were getting that error because how can a thing can collide if it does not have any area? So if it does not have any area, it cannot collide, right? So I just defined this area, and now like it can collide. So for example, like if I start moving over here, as soon as okay, the reason that I'm not able to collide is because this is not a solid object. I'm not able to collide, right? So let's go back in this pipe and make this first occupy some area because collision can happen with the same kind of thing only. So let's say find the area. Like right now they have area. When I will go and just touch, I'm destroyed. So this whole thing is destroyed, right? Right now, like I'm destroyed. Right now, as soon as I destroy, I want to move to a different screen. We'll go back to that different screen. Just give me a second. Okay, so far, if any of you have any doubt or you want me to repeat this again or a couple of things, you can go. Otherwise, I will be going to our new concept, which is like a screen or which is like a window or different windows for different kinds of levels or things like that. So right now, what we have seen so far is that we uh, we got to know how to add components, and inside that component how to align those components. And then we got to see that, okay, I want to add some action, like when things collide, when things touch, when things uh, do some action, like some action has happened. In that case, what to do? So we got to see this destroy. This destroy, what it does is basically destroy the component from the canvas. Now, as soon as this canvas, like the component is destroyed, I cannot see this component anymore. Okay, we got to see this. We got to see this collides method, which collides method takes first the parameters as tags or a list of tags, and inside of those tags, basically it takes a callback function. What will happen if this player collides with elements which has these tag? So I said that destroy myself. If let's suppose I want, in this case, instead of destroying myself, I want to destroy this pipe. Suppose if this is the case, see what will happen. So basically, okay, so we got to see over here that, okay, that those things got destroyed as soon as like I touch them. So basically, if you are building a snake and ladder game or something like that, you want that as soon as I touch that particular food item, that food item should disappear and my score should increase, right? In that case, all you have to do is define your score somewhere over here. Define your score as zero, and at any point of time when you are like getting that item, just do a score plus plus and use that score wherever you wanted. Okay, so basically we have seen what are the things that we have seen. We have seen that we can destroy any object on collision. We can like we can do a couple of things, right? That we can add components inside of a screen. We can move those components using key press and all. We can take action if some things collide with the other. We can take action on that. And basically, we got to see that for collision to happen, they should have some area. Otherwise, if area is zero, collision should not happen. For a body to, like, for things to have gravity and all, I need basically for gravity I need body. For body we need area. And basically if there is a gravity, then and only then I can jump and do stuff like that. So far we have seen that, okay, we can move, we can destroy, and we can do stuff like that, right? Now if like let's suppose I want multiple such pipes, what I have to do is basically I have to copy this again and again. Can any one of you want to suggest me, like, what should I do if I want this to be repeated again and again? So let's suppose I wrote a function which gives me something, right? If I want to apply it on one thing, I call this, I usually, like, there are two things, right? Let me talk about that. Let's suppose there is a variable let x equals to 5 and let y equals to 10. So basically, what I want is every time I want to evaluate some expression, and this expression is x into x plus y into y, and do a print of that statement. So basically, I want like I want to apply some Pythagoras theorem kind of thing. So I want this. Let's suppose. Then I want this for x equals to 3. Let y equals to 4. Let's suppose I want the square of the diagonal. How am I going to do that? Is simply basically I will say z equals to x into x plus y into y. Right? Let's suppose after that I'm printing this just. Now let's suppose I want this again. I want this again, and I want this time for 6 and 8. What I'm going to do is, one way is I can simply copy paste and define that, okay, this time x should be 6 and z should be 8, and it should be like z should be this only, and I want to print this. So like this is one way, like I can go ahead and I can use this, right? But what will happen if I want to reuse things. I don't want to write everything again and again. All I want is I just call a function with two parameters and it will be done. So what I will do is I will write a method, and this method will be like give sum of squares, right? It will take x and y, and all it will do is Now like every time I need to get this square and all, I want to print this. I just call this. I can just call this method, right? I don't have to know. I don't have to repeat the code whatever I have. So if I will pass this, it will automatically print whatever I want, right? Now I want like the same thing right now. Like I'm creating these things manually, right? Like, not manually. Basically, what I'm doing is I have written a code, and if I want multiple pipes in my game, I cannot just go and copy paste this again and again and again. Instead of that, what I can do is basically I can call a method again and again and again. So basically, it will like help me in removing quite a lot of redundancy. Before we go into that, let's talk about this case only. When I was like destroying this player instead of this. Here, okay, instead of this player, basically I'm destroying this player. So as soon as I get over here, I'm dead, right? As soon as I'm dead, if I want to go to a different screen, I will just go into this while loop and thing concept. How am I going to generate multiple pipes again and again at a regular interval and all? We will just get back to it. Before we get back to it, let's talk about screens. Okay, so basically, this is like one window, right? One screen that we have. What will happen if I lose the game? What will happen if the player touches the pipe? The game should end, right? And it should show you that okay, the game has ended. Somehow, like this should be the case, right? Or it should be redirected to a different page. Let's suppose I'm making a game, and at any point of time, I say that if my score becomes 100, I want to change the level of that game. Let's suppose I'm making a snake and ladder, and I created a level. In that level, when person reaches 100 score, I want the level to change. If that is the case, or something like that, I want it to go redirect to a different page or different window, right? Or different canvas altogether. If I I want that to happen, all I have to do is use scene. Inside the scene, I have to name the scene. So the let's suppose uh, this is my game screen, and other than that, I want all those components to come inside that screen, and only when the screen is like it's selected, all the components inside this screen will be visible. Otherwise, I have to show something else. For example, let's put everything. This should be a part of over here. So basically, what I did is basically I created a scene. I created a scene and basically a game and all. The name of the scene is game, and I have added the player inside that screen only. So if I will look back at it, I can see that all the thing that I have done so far is lost. Yeah, we will go back go on that player game thing as well. Okay, so basically I got to see that okay, everything is coming inside the scene, and right now the scene is not selected, so I'm not able to see anything. It's like a empty canvas. Let's suppose I want to go on that scene on the first screen as soon as someone gets on the page. So all I have to do is I have to use this go, and I have to define the name of this screen. What was the name? That was game, right? So when I will do that, I can see that as soon as like if this whole screen is called, like this screen is selected, I can see that okay, my game is started. Now at any point of time, like if my player is being dead or is dying, I want it to redirect to a game over screen or something like that. For that to happen, all I have to do is this is one screen, right? If the player is dead, I want it to redirect to a different screen. So let's create a different screen scene, and the name of the scene is game over, and define it like this. So basically, game over. All I want is I want to add a component inside of it, and I want to say that okay, this component should be more like a text which says me that. So basically, there are multiple type of resources, right? There can be an image can be a resource. There can be some audio can be a source or video or anything like that. There is another kind of source which is text, which is different from images. So basically in this, I can just pass whatever I want over here. So I'm saying that, okay, game over such and you lose. Okay, something like that. I want that to be visible as soon as someone loses his game. And I want it to, let's suppose I wanted to come at the center. Am I going to make it to the center with by2? H-I-G-S-T. I take the spelling Heigst. Okay, that should be correct spelling. And right now, like I want that as soon as a collision is happening, I want it to redirect to that page. First destroy the player and then redirect to me on the to that page. So that page name was game over, right? So all I have to do is call this go method. This go method will be responsible for taking me on that page. So if I will look at this, I will try to play I collided and it's showing that okay, game over, you lose. Right now you might say that it's not coming onto this full screen, like the center. Actually it's on the center only. Let me do a refresh and show you that. Because of this, okay. So basically this is the center. This particular point is the center. And if I want that it should be coming at the center, just reduce some height and width over there. So let's say 100 and 100 height and width. So width was not, it should be 100, make it 100, make it 200, and let me lose the game. So it's coming over here because I have defined it this way, that okay, width is this, height is this, and yeah, I started to get things in little center. Okay, game over, you lose. And let's suppose I want to again continue my game. If I want that to happen, all I have to do this is anyone want to tell me, or I should go ahead and use something? Basically on key press. There was a method on key press, right? I will be using the same method, and I will say when someone click on space, I should make the game play again. So all I have to do is go, and what was the name of first screen? Game. So basically, as soon as someone press space when it's in the game over state, I will be redirected to the game again. And like I can keep on playing this game again and again and again. Okay. So yeah, so we have seen the concept of screen, and the concept of screen is that I want like different pages to be visible at different point of time. I want to redirect from one page to another. Like in HTML, what I do is I open a different page, and that page is signifying that okay, this is the component that I'm making people see. Okay, now what we have done so far is that we created a screen and we have done it like this. Okay, now what I really want is that uh, what I really want is I want to create this whole thing, like create these two pipes again and again, and at a regular interval of some time. So as I already told that I will, what I will be doing is I will be capturing this whole input, and I will be pushing this whole input inside a function. Let's suppose produce pipes. It's the function. So a function produce pipes. It should not take any output, and just let me move the whole thing over. Okay, so everything is inside here. If I will look at this, I have defined, I have not called, so those pillars are not visible. Let me add, let me call this method produce pipes. Once I will do that, you guys will be able to see. Okay, all right, yeah. So you guys can see that. Okay, I'm able to see these pipes, right? Right now, this is just a single pipe. Now I want multiple pipes to be here. How am I going to do that? How am I going to do that is I will have to call this produce pipes method again and again at a regular interval. For that, Kaboom gives a nice and proper utility called as loop. So you define the interval, like how many seconds you want, like after how many seconds you want to produce. So basically make it like 1.5, 2 seconds, let's suppose. And what you want to produce. So basically after every 2 seconds, 2 seconds is less because of the speed. Let's make the speed as 60 and 60. And so after every 2 seconds, they will come. So 2 seconds is a little less time for the speed. Let's make it 100 the speed, and then 200 will look a little better. The spacing will be a little better. Okay, so what I have done so far is that I'm able to like move around my player, and those pipes are also being generated. Right now, it's not looking good because the pipes are generated in between, like are generated over here. Ideally, they should come from the last point only. So basically, if you guys remember that I use this width as width minus 200 or something, just get rid of that. I will do that. I will be able to see that, okay, like they start to come from the end only, and I can see that, okay, these are coming nice and fine. Okay, so basically, like this is the basic thing that that I'm done with. Now, what I really want is in usual Flappy Bird, the basic version. We don't have like move forward things and all. We will be getting rid of that in just a minute. Other than that, let's define some more like a scoring system, right? I want some the score to be visible at all times on the top or something like that. So basically, in this score, like I have defined the score, right? Now I have to take a action, and I have to say that, okay, if I pass through something, I have to take some action. Okay, so let's talk about that. So basically, I want my score to, if you guys are let's solve one problem first. So if you guys are looking at this, if I have not selected the screen, if I'm like doing a left and right, my screen is going up and down. If I want to avoid that, just add a simple file, script, style file, style file, and inside of this, just make the body and make the overflow hidden. So what it will do is it will like stop this movement. Like I cannot like change move the screen here and there. So just do that for like if it's giving you a little problem. Other than that, okay, what I was going to do is I was having the score. Now I want to see the score at the top of the screen. Right after the background, I want let uh, score label, and inside of the score label, what I really want is it's a component. I should add it inside. Adding it should be a sprite or it should be a text. Right now I should name it as a text. And okay, if I will just define it this way, I will be able to see over here a score of 0. Right now, I have added a static or a fixed text over there, which is a 0. Even if I will increase this text over here, the text inside of this score is not going to increase. If I want that to happen, I have to take actions actually. I have to take actions when something like that is happening. What should I do? Or when something like that is happening, what should I do? So let's talk about that. Okay. Okay, so I have what all I have defined. I have defined a screen name game, and after that I defined a background, then a score label, which is right now 0. I want it to be updated, and I want it to be updated as soon as I cross this pipe, right? As soon as I pass this pipe. So for that to happen, all I have to do is look at the pipe first. So basically, there is a pipe. This was the bottom pipe. Okay. So I will be adding a parameter right now. So basically, a key value thing, so that I can access this and determine the state of this particular pipe at any point of time. So let's suppose. So basically, what? Let's not have it right now. So basically, I have this pipe, right? Now, at any point of time, what I really want is I want to take action if something happens. So basically, I will use this action utility for this. And I want to say action. I want to say action, and I will pass the tag. So basically, what should be the tag that, just give me a second. Okay. I want to apply some action on some of the components. Right now, what I really want is that as soon as I have encountered a pipe, my score should increase, right? And as soon as like I have more position onto that, then I start getting more and more score. So this action utility this will be executed on every frame. Like every frame, this action method will be called, and I want to take action on which component or on what all components if I would like to apply it in a generic term. So it takes a input as tag. So if you guys remember, I have created a tag pipe for pipe. So let's pipe, and what action to take, let's define that. So basically, if I have defined this pipe, I want to take action on that pipe. So I'm saying that I'm picking that pipe, whatever, like whichever tag is right over here, I will pick for all those tag, all those pipes. Then what I will do is if pipe dot position dot x, if pipe dot position dot x is anytime lesser than my player dot position dot x, I should increase the score. Not just that, I at any point of time I should also score label dot text equals to I should make it score, get back and see things in action. Okay. So as soon as I start to cross, I can see that the score is increasing like too rapidly as soon as I crossed over here. The reason being, what is happening is at every frame it checks that okay, this condition is satisfied, that my player X is player's position is more, so it start to increase the score. Now I want is it should increase for once only. It should stop increasing the score at some particular point of time. So basically I said that as soon as I cross with it, do not change the price. For that I would need to have the state, like what's the state for that particular pipe. If that particular pipe is beyond me, I should do this. If it's not beyond me, I should do that. So let's suppose let's add a label on one of the pipe, bottom or the up, no worries. So let's add on this only. So basically what I'm going to add over here is a state, basically a state, and the state can be anything. So right now I'm just uh, get to meet, and I will say get to meet is true. Okay, so right now I have not met. So basically, as soon as the object is created, this particular guy has not met the original owner, right? Now let me go over here in that method where I was just crossing that in this action. What's going to happen is that right now I can only increase the score. I can only increase the score if get to like the guy is not traversed past me. So for that to happen, all I have to do is pipe dot is get to what's the name of that? Yeah, I forgot. Give me a second. Let me copy. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, so action on pipe. I should make it like pipe dot. Oh, sorry, I already added this. And if it's equal to like pipe dot yet to meet is I would say false, and this, then all I have to do is make it true. Once I will do that, I can see that okay, I will just the score will increase by one only. Okay, it's not increasing. Yet to meet. Okay, it should be true, and it should be false. Okay, let's see. Okay, I passed from the first. I score increased by one, two, three, four. Okay, so right now I can see that okay, I can the score is increasing just by one if I'm passing through one of the tower, and it's not like continuously increasing. How I achieve this, I just created a variable or a state inside pipe, and I'm saying that okay, do it like this. Like if I have not encountered you earlier, my score will increase. If I encountered you earlier, just forget about it. Let's suppose if I want that, if I go back again and my score should detect as well. If I want that to happen, all I have to do is just switch this condition and make it false, make it true, and should have this. And let's say I want to use this score as well. So if I will look at this, I will be able to get a couple of things. So basically, you can see that the score that I'm getting, if I'm getting back, I'm like making it zero. So you can add things like that, and you can see that at any point of time, like I'm updating the score label text. So at every frame, if the score is updated, it's trying to update the whole thing. So what we have built so far is that continuously, like those pipes are coming, my Flappy Bird can also go down and back. But when I look at this video that I just showed you guys, you guys can see that here my Flappy Bird is just going up and down based on the gravity only. So like, we have to like make sure that it works by gravity rather than I cannot move in all the direction. If I have to make sure that happens, how am I going to do that is, if you guys remember, for adding gravity, uh, first thing is that we need adding gravity. We don't need this on key down because we don't want continuous movements. We want a single press to make the bird go up a two or three, like the amount of jump force that you have defined. So basically, make it over here and add gravity. Let's add gravity for now. Where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Yeah. Okay. So basically, you guys can see that there is a gravity, and I can jump and like right now, like it's the default jump force, and basically I can go up and down. I can wait for the pillars to come to me, and I can just play like that. If I want to increase the speed, I can just increase the speed over here, make it 200 in the left direction, make it 200 in the left direction. Let's suppose. So basically, I can play this game, right? So they are coming with a really nice pace, and all I have to do is avoid myself getting touch with them. Basically high touch. Nice. I'm over. Right now, like I've created a game where we can like play a little bit. But now what I really want is, as soon as my game is over, I want to see the score as well. Let's suppose I want to see the score as well. Like what's the score that I won with or I lose with. So basically, all I have to do is, if you look at this game over right now, like while defining the screen game over, what I did is I said that okay, this screen is there. This is the name of the screen. Right now, it's not taking any parameters, but I really want to pass some states from the previous screen to this screen. I can pass it over here by in this. So basically, I'm saying that I'm passing the score and passing the score and your score. Let's suppose just add that. Okay, so right now, wherever I'm passing this game over, I have to pass some score as well. So let's suppose I pass this game over as 0. So actually, as soon as I will start encountering them, I lose and I can see that undefined. So basically, this parameter is not passed. Okay. Let's pass a 0 and I have to make it this. It's okay. Just define. And just give me a second. Let's see things in action. Okay, I can see score over here. Right now, like we don't have to pass 0, we can pass the direct score as well, whatever the score is. And let's see. I make two, sorry. Let me make some score, then we'll. Okay, so basically I got this score one, right? So in game over, I can see this score one and I can resume playing by like that, this only. Now, let's suppose I want that, okay, if my character is out of the screen, the game should also over. So in this, there was a condition called collides, right? Inside of this, other than that, what you can do is, if you have a reference to a object, you can simply call this action method. This action method is nothing. This action should be taken every frame. So if I want that to happen, all I have to do is this. And what action I need to check is, if player dot position dot x is negative, sorry, x is not changing, y is negative, or player dot position dot y is greater than height, GIGHT. In that case, let's suppose I want to go to game over with a score, whatever the score is. Okay. So basically, as soon as I drop, I can see that okay, the game got over. I can like restart the game. I can play this game, try to play this game. I can get some score. As soon as I'm out of the window, the game will end. So I got to see a couple of things, right? Whatever I've seen is there are multiple ways of calling these collides and action and all those elements. One way is I can simply call this action directly. Second is I can call collides. So basically, one is I use this action. Once I use it like this way, I have to pass a tag. If I know that I want to apply this particular action on a single element only, I can simply call that object name and that like object. dot that collides or object dot action. If I'm not sure about that, what I can do is basically I have to pass multiple tags over here to be able to identify all those components. To make it more generic, I have to pass it like this. Basically, we have seen action. Action is happening like every frame. It's like checking those things, and if something is happening, we are able to do it. Other than that, we also got to see we also got to see that okay, we have this position and nice things. Right now what I really wanted is that right now if you guys see, all the space is uniform, all the space of is uniform, and difficulty level is like making the difficulty levels is quite less, right? Now what I really want is that at any point of time, like they have different spacing in like different x and y spacing. For that to happen, all I have to do is define a character const. Let's suppose I want to say something like offset is equal to I will have to use random. What was that random? Yes, was okay. There was something called random method random or random. Let's check random, and I will say let's suppose I want to have this between 50 minus 50 and 50. Okay, and at any point of time, let's add uh, the height for both. Keeping in action. Yeah, the random is not defined. This was math dot random then. Okay. So if you guys can see that right now this is really less. Let's make it 200, 200 and 200 to make this just visible to you guys. Is wrong. Just give me a second. Work.log. I want to see what this offset is. Let's see what this offset is. Okay, so for this I need to actually make it 400, 400 plus 400, 400 is the range, so it will generate a item in that range only. So basically there was another random function. Just give me a second. Okay, so I don't have to. I want to generate random numbers in range in JS. So there is one method called random. There is another called. Okay, let's try it out. I feel that was random. And see this in action. Okay, you guys can see that now the difference is like varying every time. It's becoming constant. It's inside of this only, right? At every point of time, yeah, see, so basically this offset is applied and I can see that the spacing is remaining the same, the space is the same, but like these are like aligned at a different place. So we are able to see all these things. Let's suppose what else is remaining, what else is remaining, what else is remaining. We are able to see the score. We are able to go to the different page with score. We are able to display the score as well. Let me see what's in my notes. Is there anything that remains for here? Okay, I believe like we have made a pretty decent. Let's remove the debug statements. I don't need it. And spaces plus, I don't need it. Okay, now I don't have one. Basically, I got this nice game where there is a gravity and I can like jump based on space, and yeah, my score is also increasing perfectly fine. So if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Otherwise, I will talk about other features that Kaboom offers so that you can make other cool games as well. We will talk about a couple of things more. So if you guys have any doubt, like just let me know in the comments section. Like we'll look at that. Any question? Then my screen is freezing. Okay, is there any question you can ask on the chat section? Otherwise, like we'll like talk about the other features. Yeah, like you guys have around 5 minutes. I will be like looking at the comment section. If you guys have any doubt, we'll try to cater them. Okay then. I hope like everyone is following and like they are able to make some good things. Let me just see what I have to tell you over here. Yeah. Yeah. So far, is there any question? Okay then. Let's talk about other features. So right now we have seen that okay, we try to build something like this, and we put a quite a lot of effort by making everything and following the order and everything like that, right? But can we make it a little more easier to for the developer to develop and things like that? So for that to happen, actually, what we will be doing is there are other ways by which I can like make it a little more easier. Let's talk about that way first. So let me just comment out all these things below here, or let me just make a different file and make it like other cool features, other cool. Yes. Okay. Here also like I will be importing just these two things and boom. And inside of this, let's comment it now and make a new script. So C as PS slash other cool. Okay. Yes, yeah, we are using a framework called Kaboom, like it's making our life quite easier. So what I have done so far is just I removed every code, and like I'm writing the new cool features like JavaScript in a different file, so that we can look at other features. So whatever I have shown so far was one way of doing it. Now there are multiple ways of doing it as well. Let's talk about them as well. So basically, right now, if you look at this whole JavaScript code, in order to understand everything, you like it's really hard to understand what's exactly is happening, from where this pipe is originating, how things are looking. Without running this code, I cannot like deduce this, right? This is like quite complicated. It's like a little tough thing for me to understand. Okay, there will be some pipes which will come from here, and it will go with this space and all those things, right? And where is my player? When I click on this is happening, and all those things. Now, what I really want is that I want to make it a little more simple by making it a little more simple. What I'm trying to say over here is that what I really want is that I will make this map using some strings and all, and I will just replacing. So what will I will doing? What I will be doing here is I will be doing a mapping. So I will draw the same thing using strings or more like an array of strings. Then what I will be doing is I will be using that whole array string and do a basically mapping of different symbols to a different sprite component and try to make it look better. Let's talk about that as well. Okay, so now we know what the scene is. So uh, intro, and inside this intro I will have some things. Okay, so this is my scene, and inside of this scene, like I really like this background. So let me pick this background again. Let me just load it and okay, const bg, copy paste it again. Okay, I just pasted over here, and I can see that okay, it's not visible. Why it's not? Okay, so it's not visible, right? The reason it's not visible because I haven't said that redirect me to this page. To be able to redirect, I have to use this go. Inside this go, I have to say intro. Actually, this is intro. Okay, when I did this, I will be able to see a really nice background over here, right? I got this background. Now, what I really want is I want to have some map, and that map should be a more like a string or something. So let's try to make that. So basically, let's suppose I'm saying I need a map or a level map, and this level map is nothing but more like a array of string. Okay, so let me make an array of string, and let me make something. This make it this much. Okay. So basically, like I have created this. Let me just give me a second. Okay, I made a little mistake. Just give me a second. Okay, so I'm saying that this will be my map, and what I really want is in this portion, I want some land to be there. Okay, and okay, let's suppose this is the map that I have. Now, what I really want is I want to do a swapping of these characters. So swap some space with something or something like that. So let's suppose here I need my Fluffy Bird. So let's make it. This will be symbol for bird. Let's suppose this is my symbol for bird. Okay. So what I will be doing is I will be making another class where I will be doing this whole mapping thing, and I will say that level map mapping, and it will be a JSON object. Inside this JSON object, let me find some one sort of. Okay, so it's a map. It's a JSON object, right? So it will have some key value pairs. The key is denoting this, and I want to replace it with what I have to define it over here. So let's make it a name. Let me look at. It's okay. So name can be. Is there any comment? Okay, so basically in this level mapping, I'm saying if you encounter a equals to, right? What to do with this equal sign? So I will say if you get a equal to, you just have to have some sprite. Let me add some sprites, and I will say land, and I will say, or I will say block assets. Let's look what all assets we have. No, no, no ground. It's a whole ground. And this is like a Mario kind of picture. Okay, so I will be using this brick to make the bottom thing. So I will say, okay, what's the name of this brick? It's brick only, right? So nothing but brick dot png. I imported this. Now I can use this brick whenever I want. I want to do a mapping change with this with respect to this. So all I have to do is sprite. So basically, if you guys remember in that add, we were passing an array, right? In the same fashion, in this mapping, all I have to do is pass this sprite, and the name of this was block, and like this was the first parameter. There can be other parameters as well that I want area property to be there. I want to make it solid. Suppose I did this, I can see it over here that just get rid of this background. It's not working. Where is this? Okay, so I need to have okay, right now, like I have defined this mapping, but I have not used it. To be able to use it, there is a method called, let me look at the documentation. So kaboom, 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 there was a level thing. Yeah. So basically, if you look at this example, what they have done is they are defining one map. So this is how the whole structure will look like. And the second will be a JSON object. In this JSON object, they are defining like from replace this from what. So basically, let's suppose I want this equals to be replaced by some other components. So all I have to do is I have to like call this callback method, and I have to define this add method thing over here. Once I'm like done with it, all I have to do is call this add level. So let me call this add level, and will pass the parameters which I created just right over here. And I will say, oh, sorry, over here and over here. So if I will do that, let's go back to this page. Level good width and height. Okay, so I need to pass a width and height for this. What's that? It has passed. Just give me a second. We'll look at this. Copy this only and copy paste. So yeah, so I have done this. Let's see how the page looks like. Yeah, I can see these bricks over here, right? Now get back the background, which I just commented a little while back. Okay, I can see that, okay, these bricks are coming over here with spacing. So right now the thing is there is a spacing between them because I have defined the height and width of 32 pixels only. So if I will like align it properly, I will be able to see that they will start to get connected. Okay, so right now what's happening is they are like occupying each other nicely. Okay, so yeah, you can see this. So basically I have added this brick pattern. So this is what my grid that I designed from using this map, and I can simply do a replace. So basically the how it's helping us how it's helping us is basically if any developer wants to come and see what was the layout, how things were like laid out initially, and what all the components that exist. So all he has to do is he has to look at this level map. He has to look at this level map. By looking at this level map, he will get to see, okay, this is an empty map with just two components right at this moment. One is the star and this. Let me add a character over here of, there was a character called star, right? So let me call for that star. And this time I'm planning to use that Mario that I have, and I will say area. And again, I will make solid, and I want it to fall body. So this is a Mario. So I need Mario as well. So let me load sprite Mario, comma, and this I need to pass assets, and what all assets I have is blah, 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 Mario.png. If I will look back at it, so basically these two are solid items. So I can see that, okay, I have created a avatar for this Mario, this bricks, and I have these elements. Now what I really want is, let's suppose instead of I can add this over here, or I can simply I want to reference this as well. So there are multiple tags. So it's this particular thing is acting like a tag over here actually. So I can use that, or I can just make a player again for this using this add. Inside this add, I will say, what's that? Sprite. Inside the sprite, I will say it should be a Mario. It should be a position of 100, comma 100. It should 20 comma 40. And other than that, I want it to have area. I want to have body. So basically this player is going to be a unique thing, so there is no need for me to add it this way. So it's always better if it's a player thing, just keep it out so that you can have access on it at any point of time. You don't have to rely on tags and all. So basically what I'm doing is I just created a player over here. I said that, okay, create a player over here and just add gravity to it. So basically, at any point of time, this player is created at 2014 and is falling down because of this gravity, and because these two are solid items, like it's staying on top of it. Now, let's suppose I want the my character to move and all. You guys know what to do. On key down. In this case, I have to pass a couple of parameters. Let's suppose W is for jump, and jump is nothing but player dot force dot x. W is for up, so minus equals to, let's suppose, 10, and player dot Let me add, let's suppose I don't care about this. So let me add D for right and A for left, right? Let me look at this. So I can see this, right? I can like move my character here and there. I can do whatever I was doing earlier. But the best thing that I have done is I have created this layout so that my next developer can get to know, okay, this is my layout look, this is how my layout looks like, and have fun with it. Like understand what was going on and what's not going on. Let's suppose I want to have some pipe over here, there. All I have to do is just replace this and add like a, I'm saying P, capital P for pipe, let's suppose. So all I have to do is just go over here and define this capital P, define this callback method, and inside this callback method, I have to pass the parameters for all these head and all. And I will say, let's suppose it was a pipe, right? So pipe and area and solid, make it like this. And like all I have to do is pipe area and this pipe is not loaded. I have to load pipe. Let me copy pipe from here. Yeah, there's no point in using the code. Mm. I look at this, I can see that okay, there is a pipe that has been created, and I cannot like pass because this is a solid item. But what I can do is let me make it more like a jump thing, and on place W. What was that? On key down W, right? Instead of this, I should make player dot. Because gravity effect is just too much. I don't need this. I can move my character like this, and like I can play. So basically, if there is a collision happening between this, so there are multiple methods that you guys can use. Like if the collision is happening from the head, there is a on method. Like if I'm on top of it, follow this. If I'm not on top of it, follow that. There are like a couple of things that you guys can play around and like make something. So basically, let's suppose we are making a game like RPG game or a Star Wars kind of game or a plain war kinds of game. Okay, so basically you can just simply use that destroy all when like you get some superpower and you want to destroy all the objects of some type. So let's suppose you're making a spacecraft kind of game. You want to destroy multiple enemies at the same time. So just use this destroy all and pass up. Basically, this is a tag, and you want to destroy all the elements which have this tag and all. So you can just destroy using this as well. So basically, like there are multiple things that you can play around with. So there are like multiple methods you can play. We have seen pose, scale. If you want to rotate some of the character like 90-degree or something like that, you can do that. If you want to change the color, you want to change the opacity, and you have seen this Sprite like importing things. It was used for importing things. There was this text. You don't have any avatar right now. Let's suppose so you can have dummy rectangles and all take place of their avatars and all. We talked about area, we talked about origin, we talked about this layer, we talked about z. We can just pass this z, and basically it's like I want it to be on top of it and something like that. I can define those z index as well. We talked about body, we talked about solid, we talked about move. Basically, if you guys might have remembered that I use move to move the pipes from left to right. Okay, so yeah, so we have seen a couple of things. You can see that in usually games we have like a healing property that after some time I want my health to increase. At any point of time, if I am getting touched by it, I want my uh, character to fade away or something like that. I can easily do that. All I have to do is just follow these methods. So right now, like this Kaboom has made it a lot more simpler. That all you have to do is just pick a method, whatever you feel like it suits you, and just call that method. You don't have to worry about that. So basically, let's suppose if you want to make your character more blur, every time it's get hit by a pipe, or let's suppose you want to give 3 attempts. So basically, if I collided with a with first pipe, then the pipe will get over. For the second time also the pipe will get destroyed, but the third time my game will get over. If I want that to happen and I want it to be visually visible, all I have to do is just for implementing that, I have to implement some logic similar to that score logic, right? That I have to have a parameter which contains some value. I will keep on detecting that value at any point of time. If that value is negative, I will say that game is over. If that game, if I get touched by it, I will just decrease the value of that element or something like that. So if you guys remember, like I used it over here, right? So at any point of time when I was just crossing this, I was increasing, decreasing my score, right? So basically, as soon as like I collide with some element, I will add that if condition for this pipe, and at any point of time, like if my score is greater than zero or if my health is greater than zero, I will just destroy this pipe, keeping the other same and all. So by this, like I can make a really good game, right? So we can make Snake and Ladders, Mario, or Space Wars, or any other game. So like this was just to give you guys the idea how you guys can go ahead. If you guys have any doubt, we can talk about it. Otherwise, like we can end this workshop. What is frame? Let's look at that. There are like quite a lot of things. So they will tell about everything. Okay, frame, that frame. Okay. So basically, if you know, a video is nothing but a set of frames which are like, which are passing through the screen. So basically, FPS, if you might have heard of. So basically, if it's more than 16 frames per second, our eyes are not able to detect whether that object is still or it's moving, right? So basically, that is like frames. Like I have like multiple pictures. I will just keep on revolving it at a really fast pace, and it will feel like it's a movie or it's a continuous thing. In the same fashion, in this whole game, what's happening is that it has like 60 frame per second thing. So at every 60, like in every second, 60 times is going to call that action, or is called to call in that update, or all those methods will be called like 60 times in a single second, or the depending on the frame rate. We can, you can define that as well. There is a parameter for that. So yeah, frame is nothing but, can I see the frame? So how, just take a screenshot, that's a frame. If like it's a continuous frame, it's the whole continuous video kind of thing, right? Frame is nothing but this screenshot of this. Right now, like anything is not moving, like if I take a screenshot, it's okay. Like if I start moving my character at any point of time, like what's happening is there are like hundred of frames that are being passed when this guy is coming up, going up and going down. Yep. Anything else? So it will be better like if you, after like trying this out, you try to make some snake and ladder game, or some game where enemy gets destroyed when you press some button, and that will only be achieved when you go ahead and get to some particular tunnel or something like that. You guys can like try it out, and all you have to do is just pick those images from the Google Images and all. So like there are multiple images of picking those photos. One is like I can simply pass this source as my relative path, or other than that, what I can do is basically I can copy paste this link, copy image address. I can paste this over here as well, so it will automatically pick that background. So you guys can, so there are like that's you have to like debug the frame and print that frame and all. So there are multiple frames. So it depends. You have to like check the default configuration by printing this kaboom object and all. You will get to know like what your laptop is supporting and what your this engine is giving you. So like what I have seen, that it, in my laptop it was around 60, I believe. So in every second it was like going 60 on. So in every jump, I cannot like reduce it, because in every jump, like multiple jumps are there, like multiple things are happening, and I don't know the time taken, so I cannot like do that. But yeah, it's around 60 frames, I would say, for my laptop. In 1 second, it's taking 60 frames, and at any frame, like I have defined like 10 pixel, 20 pixel, or whatever pixels I have defined, it's like taking that. Yeah. Anything else? Like any other question other than frame or something? Okay. So like if nobody has any more questions, we can like stop this session. Like we will wait for another 2 3 minutes. If someone asks any question, then we will like cater that. Otherwise, like we will end this session. Okay, let's go through the code again for the main game. So okay, so we'll do that in like another 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll see if there exists any question. So what all I did is I created a file named index.html. This file is just supposed to have my linking with that file. So okay, so what I did is basically I created a HTML file. I defined that a title. This is my first game, and I defined the JavaScript file. This JavaScript file will be containing all the code related to my game and all. Then what I started to do is basically the first thing that I should do is I should import okay, so I should import my Kaboom library because if the library is not imported, I won't be able to like play this game, right? So the first thing that I had to do is I had to import the library. For importing the library, what I did is I went to that GitHub, this Kaboom documentation. There was a link to this GitHub thing. I went there, and inside that there was a like browser CDN thing was there. I went ahead and tried to copy paste this import statement. After importing the statement, what's happening is that this whole JavaScript file is actually on the internet, but I'm able to use it. And I'm able to use it by using this import statement. So basically, if I am imported, it's as good as this whole JavaScript file is present in my local system. I have shown you guys as well that this particular JavaScript file is nothing but the whole JavaScript code. So getting this code is same as like I'm copy pasting the whole code inside my repository only. Then the first thing that I have to do is to be able to use this Kaboom thing. I have to create a canvas kind of stuff thing. So for making a canvas or for making initializing the whole play area and all, I have to create this Kaboom. By default, this global and full screen is true, and this debug is actually false. And because like I wanted to show you the difference that okay, global is something or full screen is something. What's the purpose of each of them? I created like I explicitly defined them. It's up to you if you want to have that or if you don't want to have it. Let's suppose if you wanted to take some area, if you want to have like fix it in some specific ID of in some specific contain like section of the web page, you can also do that. All you have to do is there was a thing like canvas. Inside this canvas, you have to define document dot on selector. Was that? Let me check the command again. It was like documented on selector, and basically you can use that. What was that? On load on selector. Just give me a second. Query selector actually. It's query selector, and all you have to do is pass that ID of that item, ID1, and you have to define a div inside this body which has this ID1. So if you will do that, what will happen is that this kaboom will only be there for that div only. So if you fix the size of that div in somehow, then height will take only that particular height only. It's not going to take the full height and full width. So basically, if you want to fix it in some specific area, let's suppose you created a website, and if you are getting bored, you wanted to have a section over here that you can play a game. You can add that by using this canvas setting, and you can say that you want your canvas only to be present in that ID section. Okay, other than that, the first thing that we should do is basically we have to load resources. This is a by default resource that is coming from this JavaScript Kaboom framework. Other than that, we can import our own sprites, which are nothing but resources. And the first thing that you have to do is you have to define a name for it and the path of that particular file. After that, like all you have to do is like you have now we got to know that there exists something called screen, right? Let's suppose I have a level 1 screen, level 2 screen, level 3 screen, or something like that, right? In that case, I can define multiple screens like this and make it go from one screen to another by using a go feature, right? We look at this go.
Now let's suppose we wanted to, while initializing, we want to pass some parameters. We have to pass it over here, and the same parameters I need to pass when I'm calling this go. So otherwise, like, those parameters will be undefined. So if I will pass it like this, and it will get those variables. So for example, if you look at this game over section, I wanted it to get the score from the game, from the previous window, right? So I created a method which takes a score as an input, and I said that, okay, whatever the input is, I'm getting, just print it over here. The print, like, show it on the screen. So for that, I added a component, and I added a component with that text kind of resource, and I said that show the score over there. And what's the score? The score is coming from the previous state. So whoever is going to call this go method needs to pass the score method. Okay. Now, other than that, I got to see, okay, I want to have some preference. Like, I want that if this item is on top of it, it should be visible. Like, what to keep on top and what to not keep on top. If something like that, we have that. So basically, canvas is nothing but a grid. So basically, a defined area in which you want to draw something. So basically, for artists, if you might have heard of, they draw on a canvas. For them, a canvas is nothing but a page in which they draw. Similarly, for us, a canvas is nothing but a area or a dedicated space where we are going to make the whole game. So that is what canvas is. Okay. So then I create it, like, if I want something to come on top of it, I have to define it at a later stage. That's the only thing that I have to define for priority. If I want, like, if I don't want that to happen, I have to play around with Z index, because it's a 2D plane, and if I want to put something on top of it, or like put something on top of some other thing, I have to use that Z index to make the visibility thing. Other than that, then I got to see that, okay, there are resources like text, and there are resources like Sprite, right? Sprite is for images and all, and text is for this. Now I got to see that, okay, I can define a player, and if I have a reference to that player, I can call methods on, like, I can call kaboom methods on them, right? So calling kaboom method was quite easier. All I had to do is player.action or player.collides or player something, right? So these, like, there are tons of other methods as well which you can use in your game depending on your use case. Let's suppose you want that when I'm doing a head collision only, then something should happen. So there are methods in which you have to pass what kind of collision you have to cater, and what not to do, and what will happen if that situation happens. So basically, there are methods like on. In that on, you have to define what state, like, on happening what. So there are other methods as well. You can go and explore it on the documentation. Other than that, we got to see, okay, we can make a player. We got to see position. We got to see scale, area, and body. So, like, area is for defining that, okay, I have to take some area. I'm a real existing object. I'm not a pointless object or point object. After that, there was something called body. So body is for adding gravity on top of it. So body adds weight on top of it. So gravity start to apply on that. After that, we got to see the scale. So if I'm not I'm just passing a single parameter, it's yeah, you can ask. Just wait for 5 minutes. We'll, like, just go around this, and, like, we'll let you ask. Okay, so basically we talked about this. We talked about scale. We talked about origin. So basically, I have this position XY coordinate, right? From where to take that XY coordinate? Right now, it's taking from the center. If I want to have it in over here, we can, like, pass it origin. There are multiple options: top left, top right, bot left, bot right. So we already have seen that. Other than that, we also got to see that if we want our elements to have some state, or some state specific to them only. So for example, it's a multiplayer game and multiple people are playing, and now I want, if I get bitten by you, or if we collided, whoever is having more score wins. So if I want that to happen, I have to have states on those elements as well. So, for example, when I'm playing Mario, let's suppose my Mario got bigger. Then, if for the first time, if it encounters trouble, or if like, if it touches with a deadly mushroom, what happens is it stings rather than being killed, right? So in all those cases, you have to have some state. In that state, you define, like, what's the state of your character, and you can use it like that. Other than that, we have seen, like, tags. We have seen this loop thing. Loop is a method provided by this, what is that, a kaboom, and, like, it takes, like, the first as the parameter, like, after how much time I have to apply this loop, and after that, a callback function which it will call after every 2 seconds or every 3 seconds, or whatever you have defined over here. After that, we got to see that there are multiple options. Like if I have a component, it can collide with something. I have to apply some actions on it. It can be on top of something. It can like do a head button. There are multiple features. One is like collides. I use this collide, and I'm saying that collides when with any component which has a pipe tag on it. If and whatever that component, I'm catching that as my input, and I'm saying that okay, if I want to destroy that component. So for example, I showed an example of snake and ladder, and I showed, right, we can get it, we can destroy it and all. So yeah, so basically after that, we talked about destroy removes any component from the canvas. And after that, we got to see player.action. Yeah, we got to see that every frame, if I want to do some checks, or if you want to do some operations, let's suppose I want to move my character from just one bit, I can move it using this action as well, because it's anyway executing every frame. So I can just say player.position.x or y plus equals to 5. Automatically every time it will just keep on increasing that 5, and it will as it behave like it's moving in that direction. Then let's suppose I don't have a single component in which I want to apply some action. How I can do that is basically I can use this tag property and use this tag property and do whatever I want over there. After that, we talked about there were two types of buttons: on key press and on key down. On key press is like as soon as I press the button, till the moment that I get out from here, it will assume it as a single operation. On key down is like it's assumed that you are continuously pressing that button to like it's directly like the amount of button presses directly proportional to the time which you press that button for. After that, we talked about like we have a really nice thing that we don't have to we can have a layout thing, and we can have a mapping from that layout to different components. That makes it easier for the developer to understand the layout and all. We talked about that, and in that, like after that, we can like define the game and all. Yeah, so that is pretty much about all the things that we have seen so far. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask in the next 5 minutes. Otherwise, like I will like, end this workshop. First, let's discuss related with this game development only. Then we will talk about other topic as well. Anyone? Like we'll upload the code on our GitHub repository and we'll share with you guys on the description section only. 2D games, I would say, not 3D. You can make 2D lightweight games. So basically, you can make like something called space shooters. There are games like that, right? If you might have played Crunker, so Crunker can also be built using this. So that is more, or Clunker is more like a mini craft version of Counter Strike and all. You can build that as well. It will be a little hard, but yeah, those games can also be built using that. So if you don't want rendering in your code a lot, you can use it easily. Yeah, it was a lot more to consume, but I can say it for sure that if you just try it for once now, you will feel like you can make any game. Just try it for once. Just play around with all the methods. You will get some error. Just search it and try to get it done. So multiple games, like what I meant by rendering and 3D games are like if you might have like a real Counter Strike, it has like a really good animations and all. Those cannot be here. It's for just lightweight things. Is a fresher for like fresher in college or fresher in for like getting hired? If you are a fresher in a college, I will say prefer C++ to do space and all. But if you are starting the line in the line for developer, I will say use Python or Node.js or Java. Yeah, so basically, right now, like I think like I have given you a enough like introduction with Kaboom, like how to initialize, how to play around with it. So reading about Kaboom, so basically you have to look back all at all the methods that exist. So basically you have to go with this documentation and you have to at least know that there exists something for this. So whenever you need something, you will get to know about that. So for example, I want to have sound in my sound in my game. So how can I do that? So there is a thing called load sound. So if you know that there exists load sound which is different from load sprite, so I can do that, right? So basically you have to like just look at the methods, and whenever you need something, you can just look at it. So it's really easy actually. And to tell you the truth, it's not even JavaScript. It's like everything is you don't have to worry about. There is just single concept that we are using, which is a callback, which is right now the way that we are using it is just we are passing a method. We are just passing a method. That's the only thing that is a part of like more like a JavaScript thing. Other than that, I feel like it's if you know C, even C++, you will be able to do it over here as well. Just remember that use let if you want to change that variable and cons if you don't want to change it. So it's really easy. So basically, they have like abstracted more or less the JavaScript things as well. Because all those, because if you are writing this in core JavaScript, that load method, that loop method was there, right? You would have to use a set timer method with a callback and a time. And if you want to apply some more operations, you have to have some methods which are running asynchronously doing that for you. But right over here, you are not doing any of it. You just are doing you just are like calling action, and the whole action is happening on its own. So yeah, like using a framework really ease out the whole thing. So it will be really easy for you guys to make build games using this Kaboom. Like once you get comfortable with this and you have a really good laptop, try Unity for building 3D games. Yeah. Any question? Okay, then let's stop here.